Hello and welcome to Hanging by a Thread. My name is Ailsa and this is my little corner of the internet where I talk about all things knitting. Today I'm here to do some deep dives into some recent finished objects. Now, fall is definitely in the air. We are having a very rainy day here right now. We have passed the fall equinox. But what I'm going to talk to you about today are 3 summer knits that I finished this year. I haven't talked to you about them yet so far, and I'd love to just share what my summer knitting experience was this year. I have made summer knits in the past, but this was the first year where I really set out with the intention of increasing my summer knit wardrobe. And so I did knit 3 tops this summer, specifically as summer knits. I also knit some other things. I knit a sweater for my daughter, I knit a gift knit for a new baby, I knit a sweater for myself, but specifically today I'm talking about the summer knits that I made and my kind of thoughts and feelings on those. So I'm going to do a deep dive into these 3 finished objects and just tell you all about them. And the tops we're going to be talking about today are what I'm wearing. This is the Palm Springs tank, my Storsand top, although I'll probably go a little bit lighter on that as there is a full project vlog that you can watch to see the whole process of making that top, and the Cari top, which is a test knit that I've recently completed. So let's jump on in and we'll start off with what I'm wearing, which is the Palm Springs tank. So the Palm Springs tank is a pattern from Leslie Forrester, aka Knit California. It is, forgive me while I'm looking at my screen because I don't want to get these details wrong. It is a fingering weight pattern. It's obviously a tank top, a sleeveless top. It's knit up in fingering weight. The yarn that's recommended is Dusty Yarn Company Luxe Silk Cashmerino, which I think is a merino cashmere nylon blend, like I'm not 100% certain on that, but I'm pretty sure. But there are other yarns that the designer has used and tested out. Like I think she's used Cotton Merino by Knitting for Olive, which is, spoiler alert, what this is knitted in. She's also used like a straightforward sock yarn, I think. So other kind of fingering weight yarns have been tested, and there are a fair number of people who have made this pattern, so you can see lots of different yarns being used. So this top does come in 11 sizes, from extra small to 7XL, so fully size inclusive. We love to see it. And I knit the size large, so the 4th size in the pattern. This is a top that's meant to be worn with negative ease. I believe she recommends 6 inches of negative ease, and that might be intimidating. I think so many of us are used to picking patterns with like 6 inches plus positive ease. So to see that much negative ease might feel really intimidating. But what the designer has talked about trying to achieve with this pattern is that kind of classic, and she like directly references like the Old Navy racerback tank tops. And so it kind of needs that negative ease to kind of pull in and form to your body. And I'm wearing this right now with the recommended negative ease, and it does not feel uncomfortable at all. It does not feel like it's, you know, strangling me in any way. It's just a different style. So I made mine in Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino. That's the 70% cotton, 30% merino, light fingering. And I ended up doing mine striped. Originally, I was planning to make it just in this pink color, which is the Rhubarb Rose. But I started on it and I don't know, I was feeling really off about just this color against my skin tone. It's not really too close, but there was something about it in just that color that I wasn't loving. So I decided to rip out what I'd done, and that's going to become a theme with the story of this top. Rip out what I'd done and actually add in this natural white color as a stripe. And I'm really pleased I did that. I do think that the Rhubarb Rose might have felt a bit much. But with the natural white stripe, I think it looks quite cute. The pattern doesn't come with instructions for adding stripes, which ordinarily is not too big of a challenge to add in stripes, but I did run into an issue, which I will talk about when we get there. Otherwise, things to know about this. I knit this over the course of 64 days. It wasn't the only thing I was knitting on. And that was with a couple of restarts, and that's on me, not on the design. I think this could be a much faster knit, but I had to rip back almost the whole top when I realized that I had made a big mess up at some point. This was a pretty cost-effective top for me. It cost me $37.25 Canadian. The yarn I'd had in stash for quite a while. I'd got the rhubarb rose in a D stash for a discount, and the natural white had been what I'd used for my Florencia top from a couple of years ago, and I just used some of what I had left over from that. I used very little of the white, like maybe half a ball, and then I think I used 3 balls of the rhubarb rose, but I can't 100% guarantee that. I finished this top in early August, on August 4th to be precise. I haven't worn it a ton yet though, and we'll maybe talk a little bit more about why later. I've worn it 4 times since I finished it at the beginning of August. So let's talk a little bit about the knitting experience of making this object. I had some frustrations making this, and that's not on the pattern. I think the pattern is very well written, very straightforward, but I ended up having to restart a couple of times. The first time was the color choice. Again, that's on me. The second time was to do with the stripes. I had got almost the entire way through the body when I realized that where the beginning of round was situated on this pattern, it meant that where my jog was happening, or where my stripe change was happening, was actually appearing down the front of the sweater. And despite attempting to do jogless stripes, I was using a method that I've used before, and it wasn't looking good, and it's still not looking that great. Let me show you. So you can see, like, my beginning of round is obvious. You can see a bit of a jog there. And it's not the neatest, which I'm not sure why it turned out quite so messy. I don't know if it's to do with the plant fiber. I'm not sure if I don't know exactly if I was just not doing it right. Gauge, pick your struggle, to be honest. But given that it is a more obvious beginning of round, when that was visible at the front, that looked really bad. So I had to rip up all the way back up to the underarm and restart and move the beginning of round so that it was actually located on the side rather than, because I think it was falling like maybe like just along this bust line. So I had to move the beginning of the round back, which is not a hard thing to do. I just hadn't really paid attention to where the beginning of round was showing up. And if I had thought about it a bit more, and if I tried it on a bit earlier, I might have caught it earlier and saved myself some time, but that was an issue. So I guess that's the thing learned, that if you are adding stripes to a garment that doesn't have explicit instructions for stripes, you might want to think about things like how you're going to add those stripes in, how you're going to make sure the front and back line up, because you need to be on the same bit of the stripe sequence, obviously. There is like a tiny bit here where the stripes don't exactly match up, but it's so minimal that you wouldn't ever notice it. I ended up going for, I believe this is 6 rounds of the main color and then 2 rounds of the white. I wanted a slightly thinner, or a thinner stripe with broader bands, and I liked how that looks. I think it came out nicely. In terms of other thoughts on the knitting experience, this was very straightforward. It's a fairly standard construction. You're starting on the back, then you're coming over the shoulders, doing each shoulder, then you're joining in the round, and then you're just knitting stockinette in the round for miles, which, as I have said before, is not my favorite thing to do, but you do get a lovely garment. All the finishings are they're folded over. So you've got this folded over neckband, this folded over arm, and then let me stand up. the hem is folded over too. It was a little bit difficult to do the folded over hem. Like I did struggle with that a bit. And one of the modifications that I made on doing all of these finishings was I knit like however many rows this is. Let's for argument's sake say 10 rows. Then I did a purl bump round or a purl round, and then I knit the next 10. And so then I had that line, that purl bump line of where to fold to help guide me. And that was particularly helpful on the hem, but it was helpful on here too. And I actually really like let's see if I can get close enough and get it to focus. I like the finishing that you get, let's see, with that purl bump line. I like how that looks. I think that has a kind of clean look. That's not in the pattern, but it's obviously really easy to sub in. You just kind of determine how far you want to knit, and then add it in and then do the next half. I do like how this finished object turned out. So again, I knit it to pattern. I had to go down a couple of needle sizes. I think the designer must be a much tighter knitter than I am, because I think I went down 2 needle sizes in order to get gauge, but I did get gauge and I got pretty much exactly the right negative ease for my size. So I think this is 34 inches and I'm a 40-inch bust. But I like the fit. I like how it sits on my body. I did add extra length as well. That's another thing that I changed because I didn't like how cropped it was going to be on me at the suggested length, but that's a really easy modification. In terms of whether it's bra friendly or not, like yes, with caveats. I'm pretty sure I knitted a little bit more width on the arms to try and get more coverage. Right now I'm wearing a racerback style bra, so it's, you know, very well covered, but I do have to be careful about bras. So if I'm wearing something that's got a bit wider straps, then you're going to see them. It's great on the depth, the armhole depth. I don't think that's an issue with any of my bras, this depth. And I just think it's a really nice fit. I think it looks really classic, really easy to style. I've worn it with skirts. I'm wearing it today with jeans. You can wear it with shorts. So I see lots of possibilities for it. I also think I might wear it a little bit more as a layering piece in the fall, winter, spring as well. So I think it has lots of options and I'm very happy with the finished object. The things that I'm not happy with are like my knitting. So like I said, that kind of messy beginning of round I'm not thrilled about. There's some bits where like the pickup could have been slightly neater. But you know, not so much that I'm going to go and redo it. And I don't think you notice unless you're getting up really close to like look at my neckband. So I'm happy with it. It's just, you know, there are some things that I would maybe love to be a little bit more beautiful, but not deal breakers. In terms of the yarn, I've used this yarn before and I am a fan of Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino. I think it's a really nice yarn. But I did realize, so previously I used it in the Florencia tee, which is a looser lace tee. I'll maybe see if I can pop a picture up here somewhere of me in it. And it has a very different vibe and it's not sitting as close to your body. What I found is that with this, I haven't worn it that much. We've had a pretty hot summer and I was in the south of France for a good chunk of August. I brought it with me, but I didn't really wear it. I found that this close to my skin with that negative ease, I am getting some prickle when it's warm. So I tend to run pretty hot. And so when I was warming up, when I was feeling a bit sweaty, I was not feeling so comfortable in this. So I'm not sure that it's going to be a great summer top for me, despite it being that 70% cotton and really being a summer fiber. I think it's because it's got that negative ease and it's so close to my body. For me, as soon as I start warming up, it's not perfect. Or it's not like a perfect sensation for me. Your mileage may vary. Everyone has different kind of tolerances for this kind of thing, but that's kind of what I'm I've been feeling. I'll test it out again more next summer, but it might be more kind of shoulder season, and then, as I said, a layering piece throughout the cooler months. Um, would I make it again? I actually would, despite those reservations. I think this is a really lovely staple. I quite like a solid color one, but I would need to think quite carefully about what yarn I would want it in and what purpose it would. I think I would not knit it as a summer top. I would knit it intentionally as a layering piece and maybe go for that, maybe something like that, like MCN kind of base to give it that luxurious vibe. Um, but yeah, I think I'd also have to work myself up to it because I did knit this on small needles and it's a fingering weight garment, and even without sleeves it took a while, and it's stockinette in the round, which isn't my favorite. So um yeah, I do really like it, but and I can see myself making another one. I just might need to give myself some time and space. And I'm not sure that it's going to fulfill the job of summer top for me, um, which is fine. Like I think it has a place in my wardrobe, but I'm not entirely sure it's going to fulfill the purpose that I had intended for it. All right, my second summer top. I feel so good even just putting it on. This is the Storsand top from Cari Nordland. As I mentioned before, I do have a project vlog that walks you through the whole process of making it, so I might not go into as much of the knitting process or knitting experience on this one. But this is a DK weight top, all over lace, sleeveless, and it comes in 9 sizes. I knit the 4th size. The pattern recommends Sen Duo, which is, I believe, a cotton merino blend. I made mine in Tin Lena Held Double in the colorway Kit, which is this neutral color. The pattern does recommend, or the pattern is designed to be 2 colors. So these kind of eyelet garter rows are in a contrast color, and then this like section is in the main color. So in the original, you have that contrast color. I had seen Sarah from Noel Knits do a single color version in a very similar kind of creamy base. And as you will see in my vlog, if you choose to go watch it or if you've already seen it, I started off making a two tone version and then I pivoted after some trials and tribulations and went for the single color. This top took me 58 days to knit. Again, this was not my only project while I was working on it, so that was alongside other projects. I think that's pretty great for an all-over lace top with a restart, a big restart, where I basically ripped back the whole thing to start again. And yeah, I finished this mid-August, so August 14th, just before I went away on vacation. This top cost me $31.80. So the yarn I primarily got in a yarn swap, but I did have to pick up some extra balls, and then the pattern. So between those extra balls and the pattern and all of that, $31.80, which is great. And I have worn it 7 times so far, which doesn't feel bad for, now that we're going into fall. I feel like I have been getting wear out of it, and I've been trying to wear it because I'm so happy with it. This might actually be my favorite thing I've ever knit. I'm so in love with it. I think because it was just such an accomplishment to finish it. And then, so I feel like the sense of accomplishment looking at it and looking at this like kind of intricate lace pattern. And then I just feel really good in it. I like love wearing it. I think it looks good with trousers and jeans. I think it looks good with shorts. I think it looks good with a dress. I haven't actually worn it over like a strappy sundress yet, which is what I thought I was going to do, but that will be a next summer experiment. So yeah, I love this. The knitting experience, I think this is a very well designed pattern. I had some ups and downs. Increasing and decreasing was increasing now I'm like, yeah, increasing was a bit of a challenge in maintaining the pattern. Um, but I found this such an engaging and pleasurable knit. I really, really love lace knitting. I think it's the perfect combination of you can get into a rhythm with it, but also it like engages your mind. And then you just sort of, I love seeing the motif emerge. So I had so much fun making this. And yeah, if you want to see more about the the ups and downs, that vlog is there for you. Um, I really like the yarn as well. I really enjoyed working with it and I really enjoy wearing it. So Tin Lena, and now forgive me because I'm not going to remember the exact blend, but it's cotton, linen, viscose, I believe. Some blend thereof. Um, and it's really nice. It's like not too hard on the hands to work with, unlike some other plant-based yarns. It's really light to wear. It doesn't feel heavy, you know, on the body, but it also feels like very breathable. Of course, I've got a lot of lace here, so it's, you know, holy. But I just really like the way that the yarn is wearing so far. Um, Obviously, I've not had it finished for that long, so I can't speak to how well it's going to hold up over time, but so far, so good. I know a lot of people have mentioned that the Tin Lena is more splitty than the regular Lena. I've not worked with the Lena, so I can't speak to that comparison. And I didn't find this overly splitty, but again, I was holding it double, so maybe that made a difference. So your mileage may vary, but I didn't have any problems knitting with this. I found it very comfortable to knit with. I did knit using my bamboo chalgu needles when I was working on this because the yarn did feel quite slippery, so I wanted that extra grip. When I was trying to knit with my you know, stainless steel chalgus, it was just like sliding off and I was losing stitches all the time, whereas with that like extra little bit of friction, it was more workable for me. So that was just something that helped me. Maybe it will help you too. And yeah, I have worn this on very hot days on vacation and it was comfortable to wear. So that was a big plus for me. I think this will definitely be a summer outfit piece, which I feel really good about. In terms of more thoughts about the finished object, I guess I've been talking about like, is this my favorite knit ever? So you can kind of hear how I feel about it. It is, you know, bra friendly in the sense that it has shoulder coverage, but obviously it's very open because it has lace all over. I've been choosing to wear it with like a bralette style top underneath, and I'm comfortable with that look, but you know, other folks may have other feelings about how they feel about their body and what kind of coverage they want, but for me that's been enough and been good. I got circumference of 44 inches across, or not across, around, which gives me the right sort of ease. The pattern recommends 2 to 4 inches, so I'm happy with that kind of looser fit. I think again that helps for a summer garment to have it kind of be breathable and not too close to your body. The underarm is a little bit deep, so you can see like my bra peeking through there, and it is a deeper underarm. I don't mind that too much. Certainly when I was knitting it, the underarm was a lot lower until I did the finishings on the around the armhole, and that did bring it in a little bit, but I don't really mind that. But it is something to be aware of, and if that's something that's going to bother you, you might want to make some modifications because I think it does sit a little bit low. But yeah, overall, just I think this is a beautiful piece. I love this so much, and I'm really excited to just keep wearing it. The question of like, would I make it again? I think probably not, because how many of this style of shirt do I need in my closet? Like this kind of like is the piece. Or if I were going to make another all over lace top, would I not just want to try a different one? and like have it be a different motif, so it did have a different look. But that's not a negative on the pattern. And even as I say that, I'm like, oh, but maybe I do want one that has like the contrast color, or do you know what I mean? Like there's part of me that would love to knit this again because I do love it so much. But then there's part of me that's kind of like, no, just let the piece that you love be the piece that you love. You don't have to make this again. So yeah, that's kind of, it's not a negative to say that I don't think I'd knit this again, because I think it's just, it is one of those one-off pieces. It's not like a tank top where you might have like 5 that you just like cycle through in different colors. I don't think I want 5 of this in like different colors. So yeah, that's just, I mean, I don't know. You get what I'm saying, I think. I don't see myself knitting this again, but that doesn't stop me from highly recommending it, highly loving it. So yeah, that's the Storsand top from Cari. Okay, and last but not least, this is the Cari top from Sarah at Noel Knits. This top is not, or it might be out by the time that this video goes out, but it may not be out yet. This was a test knit, and it's this lovely little vest. You got cute little buttons down the front. Very sweet little vest that's coming out soon. If it's not out already, it will be out soon. And yeah, so let me tell you all about it. So as I said, this was a test knit for Sarah. This is, I knit the size 4. It's a sport weight design, and I used Hyotgan Arezzo Lin. I think there's now a new version of this base that's been released, and the version that I have has since been discontinued. But regardless, that's what I used, which is a cotton bamboo linen blend. Which again, I picked up this yarn in a yarn swap. My local yarn store does fairly regular, like twice a year yarn swaps, where you donate $10, which goes to, I believe, a local shelter, and then you can drop off yarn that you're not going to use or that's sitting in your stash, and then you can take things from the bins that other people have dropped off. So I got that from a yarn swap. And yeah, so it's been sitting in my stash for a while waiting for a project, and I'm so happy that I got to be a part of this test and got to make this beautiful vest. So the backstory to this is I had been really wanting to make one of these like button-up vests. I think these have had like a bit of a moment over the past few years, and you've seen various designers make them. But what I noticed when I went to go look at some of these patterns is that a lot of the more popular vest patterns are actually not size inclusive. And not only are they not size inclusive, like they're really not size inclusive. Like some of them like had, you know, 48 inches as the upper size, or I mean, that's not exactly the thing, but like, you know, really quite a limited range. And, you know, not to, I just don't want to spend my money, if I don't have to, on patterns that aren't going to be size inclusive. That's a personal choice I make. I prefer to support designers, to put my money towards patterns that are going to be size inclusive. And so I had been kind of looking around to get like this exact style was what I wanted, like exactly this, the V-neck, the clean lines, the teeny tiny buttons, like this was exactly what I was looking for. And I had been thinking like, oh, can I like figure out how to like take an existing pattern and regrade it, or take a tank top and figure out how I'm going to put in the V-neck and the buttons. Like I'm not somebody who does a lot of big modifications like that for myself. I've not got a great maths brain, and that's not like my forte. But I was like, okay, maybe I can like figure this out by myself. I have the Tulsa tank pattern, and I know there's like the Crabeya, Rebecca, she has a version that she's knitted for herself that is a vest like this, but there's not, I think there's like instructions on her project page for how she did it, but not in the pattern. I was like, maybe I can figure that out, and maybe I can do that. But then, sorry, this is a very rambly backstory, but then I saw that Sarah had this in development, and I was like following along, watching her, making her samples. Um, and I was just like, that is exactly what I wanted. And it's in 9 sizes from a range of 28 to 60 inches, size inclusive, perfect. I was like, I so want that top. I'm so excited for it. So just thrilled to have been included in the testnet and to have testnet for Sarah again. She's a great designer. If you don't know her already, I highly recommend you check her out. She has a lovely array of children's patterns, but also patterns for adults as well. Oh, I think the cost for this came out at $10 because this yarn was from the yarn swap, so I didn't pay for it. And then the buttons I think were $10. These are little kind of let's see if I can come closer. Little mother of pearl buttons there. Yeah, which I think like the kind of pale buttons with the light blue looks really nice. So the knitting experience, it went really quickly actually. I started this on August 6th and finished it on September 9th, so that's a total of 34 days. It's quite a cropped garment. If I stand up, I can show you. So you can see it sits like just at the waistband of my high-waisted jeans. So it is fairly cropped. It's obviously sleeveless, but you know, it's a sport weight garment, and it's knit back and forth, obviously in stockinette. So I think the pattern is really well designed, really clearly explained. I'm also like, I know I keep fiddling with this. I think it's because I needed to like steam it this morning. It's like not sitting quite right, and I think it's because it's been scrunched up in my drawer. I don't think that's a pattern thing. I feel like I should make that caveat. I think it's because I've had this scrunched up. Regardless. Yeah, so was it the most fun to knit a lot of stockinette flat with plant-based yarn? Not 100%. And I did have some issues. I think if you look closely, let me come again closer, I think you will see there is some rowing out, which I think was just, I was struggling to maintain my tension with this yarn. Compared to the Tinlina, I found this yarn incredibly hard on my hands. It's quite dry. I would get pain in my hands as I was working on it. I would find that, you know, after working a few rows, I was finding it a struggle. So it was not as fun to work on. But that's not to do with the pattern, it's more to do with the fiber. And as I said, it did go really quite quickly. I was more or less working on this monogamously, however, because I took it away on vacation with me and it was my only project. So, you know, things will go quicker if they're your only project. Stunning revelation, I know. But, you know, it went quickly, and although I wasn't having the most fun, and although it was causing me a bit of discomfort because of the yarn, you know, it was fine. Also, the yarn, I will also say, was fairly splitty, and it was a little bit frustrating, but it wears really nicely. It feels very soft, very cool against skin, all of those things you're looking for. Yeah, so it does feel really nice. In terms of the finished object, it's not quite perfect, and that's on me, not the pattern again. I don't know, something weird has been going on with my gauge recently. Like my gauge has been getting so loose, and I don't know why. So I swatched for this. I didn't get gauge with the pattern needles, fine. I went down, I swatched again, I hit gauge. But the gauge on the finished object is not correct. I was off by a couple of stitches on my stitch gauge, and so I ended up with 2 more inches of positive ease than I should have. And I think where that really shows is at the underarm. It's just a little bit loose there, and I wish it it fit a little bit closer. I mean, I think the fit is overall still beautiful, but because I didn't hit gauge, it doesn't fit quite how it's meant to. I also found that for me, and I think this is user error, getting the I-cord to lay flat is a little bit tricky. So there's an I-cord finishing at the bottom hem, and I'm just getting some rolling, which I don't think looks terrible, but you know, I wish that I knew how to make that a little bit neater. But not so much that it bothers me that I don't think I can wear the finished object. I really like the I-cord button band and how Sarah shows you how to make buttonholes within the I-cord. I hadn't done that before. I think it looks really lovely and just very clean finishings. So yeah, overall, this is exactly what I was looking for. This was like the top. I'll also say that in the pattern, Sarah does have instructions for doing a striped version, and the striped version is very, very beautiful. So that also is something that I might consider in the future. Which preview, would I knit this again? Yes, I love this style. I think it's really cute. I think it's a really nice style. It's exactly what I wanted. I would quite like to do a striped version. I would quite like to use the yarn that she recommends in the pattern, which is Wandering Flock Cotton Lino. But it's quite pricey, so I don't know if I will do that. But like, I'm so drawn to that yarn. It's got some lovely colors, and doing a striped version would be really fun. I also love the idea of doing a black one, maybe in 100% linen, which I feel like I would hate myself as I was knitting it and hate that choice. But I can just imagine the finished object and how wonderful it would be. So maybe you'll see more of these from me next summer, but I think this is going to be a really lovely summer garment. I haven't had the chance to wear it a ton yet because I finished it in September. The weather is not quite ready or not quite optimal for this. And unlike the tank top, I don't think this is perfect for layering. It sits kind of awkwardly under a cardigan or what have you. So this might be, you know, hanging out for a little bit in my closet before I get to really wear it next year. But I'm very, very happy with how it came out. And oh, and then the other thing to say is, yes, it is bra friendly. I think it's got great coverage for straps. The V is like maybe a little bit on the deeper side, or at least it ended up on the deeper side on my version, but not to the point that I'm uncomfortable. But you know, take a look at Sarah's samples and other test knitters versions to see what you think about how it looks on other bodies, obviously. And of course, that depth is always adjustable, so you can kind of make that fit your style and aesthetic. But overall, thrilled with this, really excited it's coming out, and definitely encourage you to check it out. And I'll have the link down below once it is out. But yeah, this is the Cari top. Okay, so those are my 3 summer knits. I hope you enjoyed hearing about them. I'd love to know how your summer knitting went. Do you do summer garments? Are you one of those people who's just like, nope, not for me? Just anything about how your summer knitting went. Would love to hear that down below. As always, you can hit the like button or subscribe. That really helps this channel grow, and I appreciate it so much. And come hang out with me. You can find me all of the places. They're listed down below as well. Instagram, Ravelry, all of the good things. But yeah, just thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoyed this. Okay, take care everyone. Bye.